What's up, everybody? Oats Remote coming to you again from my house in Montana. So today is vlog day number 2, and today's practice is going to be a little bit different. I mentioned in yesterday's vlog that I have a tournament coming up this weekend, my first big amateur tournament of the season. I'll be traveling to Missoula for that this coming weekend, and so today at the center I have some practice and stuff I need to do to get ready for that tournament. Luckily enough, I know the bowling center owner quite well, and whenever I know the oil pattern, he's more than willing to put out the pattern so I can practice on the pattern. You know, sometimes you don't know the pattern until you get to the actual tournament, and that's, you know, a different situation. But if there's ever a case that you know what the pattern is going to be, if you can get some practice on that pattern beforehand, it will definitely help you out. So today I'm going to be bringing my full arsenal, and these are all the bowling balls that I currently have in my tournament arsenal. So yesterday we already talked about a few. We had the, of course, the plastic spare ball, the Swag Incredible Hero, pin up, 5x5x2. We also have the other 3 balls that I talked about. We have the pin down No Graffiti, the pin down Big Bro Jacked, and a pin up Joker Wild. So that kind of sets my bag for, you know, standard use. That's what I usually use when I'm in leagues, for example. And whenever I go to a tournament that I'm kind of unsure on the pattern, those balls always make the trip with me just because I throw those the most. I am used to those reactions, and I really like actually what they show me on the lanes. Next, we have kind of our middle of the line bag. So we have here a Swagger, actually. So it's a Swagger. I know that's a little confusing, but it's a symmetrical solid ball pin-up. It's kind of a pretty standard pin-up layout for me. It's more of like a hook set motion. So this ball will read the mid lane, and once it gets into its roll, it just kind of, you know, rolls straight forward. We've got our pin-up urethane ball. This is actually a benchmark layout on this, 4x4x2. You never leave home without a urethane ball if you can help it when you're bowling on tough tournaments, because you never know when urethane might be in play, and if you're without a urethane ball, well, you don't score. And then over here we have a pin-up Swag Fantasy Star. This actually is one of my most favorite pieces out of the Swag lineup of balls. It's just very flexible. It's a symmetrical pearl ball. It's got the same layout as the Swagger over here, so it's a hook set motion, but it's very flexible. I can put surface on it and I can get it to really read early. I can shine it up and get it to read later. And as far as motion through the pins, honestly, out of all my equipment, this one I like the most. It's just very strong through the pins. So back here we've got more of a benchmark bag. I've got 1 benchmark pearl, 2 benchmark solids. The benchmark pearl is the Swag Dynamite. So it's a fairly strong symmetrical pearl ball, 4x4x2 layout, pin-up. You know, it's going to give me kind of an idea of what the lanes are doing in a pearl ball. I've put surface on this before. Honestly, I don't like it with surface. I usually leave it pretty shiny because, you know, it's a pearl ball, and really I don't like how it reads the lane with a surface on it. And then over here we have our asymmetric pearl ball. This is the Show Me the Money by Swag. This is also pin up 4x4x2. Since it's an asymmetric, you have the addition of that mass bias over here that will, you know, give you a little bit stronger look. This ball, since it is so strong and it reads the lanes so early, I can really use that ball to play straight with. When I need to get my angles tighter, I can really get it through the front part of the lane and get a really good motion on the back. Over here, the final ball on my benchmark bag is a Swag Fantasy. So the Fantasy and the Fantasy Star are the same line. They got the same core. There's a difference in the cover stock, solid versus pearl, and this is a different solid cover stock, obviously. So again, benchmark layout, 4x4x2, very strong, but that's going to come with me as well. So as to why I'm bringing all this equipment, well, you'll find that out once we get to the bowling center today, because I'm going to use all of my bowling balls to try and give me an idea of how the pattern is going to play. You know, being able to practice on the pattern allows me to throw pretty much every ball I have and see which ball gives me a decent look. I can also play with ball surfaces, and I can figure out, okay, this might be in play, this might not be in play. The biggest thing to remember on that front is just because one ball might work here at my local bowling center, doesn't necessarily mean that ball is going to work once I get to the actual tournament. Bowling centers have different lane surfaces. Topography on lanes is different. The way their oiling machine puts down the pattern will be different. So there's all kinds of variables about the environment that you bowl in that will determine whether or not that ball actually works. But at least I'll have kind of a solid idea. No matter what, all of these balls will definitely make the trip with me to Missoula. But I will have some of these balls already picked out. So I kind of know in practice, in warm-ups, what ball to grab first, second, third, and then if those don't give me a look, I'll start digging in my bag. So anyway, I'm going to go get ready to go to the bowling center. I'll see you guys in a bit. Sometimes the life of a bowler, I got to get all this into my little car. Why go to the gym? Just lift your bowling equipment. All right, we made it to the bowling center. Now the work begins. I got to get all this from my little car into the bowling center. And yeah, this probably adds, well, 110, 120 pounds-ish, something like that. Each ball is 14 pounds, so you do the math. All right, guys, we're here. So to get things started, I'm going to take the equipment out of my bag that I'm most familiar with. That's going to be the Joker Wild. It's going to be the Incredible Hero. And probably one of my pin-down balls, the pin-down solid Big Bro Jacked. You know, when people talk about benchmark balls, I think there's a little bit of a tendency to kind of misunderstand what benchmark ball really means. In my opinion, a benchmark ball is something that you're really used to seeing the shape of, that you basically know the reaction like on the back of your hand. That way when you throw it on something that you're unfamiliar with, like a sport pattern, you kind of know or you have some expectation of what that ball is going to do. And that ball is going to tell you, as a player, do I need to ball up or ball down? Do I need to go with something stronger or weaker? So we're going to start with that. And just like yesterday, my practices, like I said, usually always start with some kind of a warm-up. So I'm going to grab my plastic ball, practice rolling it straight, practice hooking it a little bit, get used to my releases. We'll start with a one-step drill, we'll move back to a skip-step drill, and then eventually we'll get to the point where I'm doing a full approach with just my plastic ball. I'll probably throw 5-6 shots, something like that, just reset the pins every time until my body's nice and warmed up. Okay, I'm warmed up. That was 5 shots. Feeling pretty good. So to begin on a pattern like this, I know for sure that the pattern is kind of medium. So it's not really short, it's not really long. As far as volume is concerned, it's about a medium oil pattern. So balls with surfaces that are in the higher numbers, you know, probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 plus are going to work better than balls with a rougher surface. That's not always true, but that's what I'm going to start with. So to get lined up, I'm going to take the ball that I'm most familiar with, which is my Joker Wild, and I'm going to stand as far right as possible, stay up the back as much as I can on the ball, and see just kind of what the lane gives me. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the friction on the lane. If the ball doesn't move from the outside part of the lane, then that usually would tell me that I need to use something that's a little stronger from that point, or maybe something with a little more surface from that point. So we're going to give it a shot and see what it looks like. So that actually was a really good shot for my first attempt at playing that extreme outside line. I got it right up the 8 board, and I was really up the back of the ball, which is really good. And it got to the spot and it jumped really hard. So what that tells me is, even though I'm using a pearl ball with some surface on it, it's just a little too weak. It's storing too much energy and it's turning too hard. So the next shot I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same ball, but I'm going to adjust probably 6 and 2 left and see if I can open it up a little bit and get that ball to work. That one was much better. I was up the back of the ball. I got it through the 10 board, out to about 8 board, roughly about 38, 39 feet down the lane. And it looked like it was going to hold for a split second, and then it just jumped. So with that much of an adjustment, that basically tells me that the Joker Wild, at least on the fresh oil, is just going to be a little too weak. It's storing too much energy, it's turning too hard. So we're going to go with something that's a lot stronger layout. And actually what we're going to go with is the Incredible Hero pinup 5x5x2, and we're going to do the same thing. Extremely outside line, up the back, see what it does, and then try and make it work. I'm actually really happy with that shot. Over 10, 8 at the break point. And I was up the back, it just overhooked. So with that particular ball, it seems like it will work pretty good on fresh. Might need a little bit more surface. I've got it at 3,000 right now. I may throw it again at 2,000, but before I go that far, I'm actually going to grab an asymmetric ball that's a solid ball, and it's already at a rough surface, and we're going to see what it looks like from that outside shot. I don't know if you could tell on camera, but I really got around that. That was a really bad shot. So that ball I'm throwing is the Show Me the Money asymmetric solid 4x4x2, very strong layout. That was a good shot. I was up the back of it, and it unfortunately looks like it just read too early, and so it started its move way before 38, 39 feet and went across the headpin. So if I'm going to throw that ball again, I'm going to probably want to shine it up a little bit, or not shine it, but at least put some smoother surface on it. And like I said earlier, you always want to see if urethane's in play. Urethane in bowling is a ball that does the least, so it's the most controllable. It's the easiest to read, and if you can make it work, there's no reason not to make it work. So I'm going to grab my urethane ball now. It's actually a pearl urethane ball. It is a strong layout urethane ball, 4x4x2. We're going to see if I can get that to work for me. So that was much better. Hit my target, got it to the right break point, and it just overread. So might need to throw some surface on it. We'll try it again. Got that one a lot farther right than I should have. So another shot. So that one, I was rounded a little more than I should have been, and it was actually a little slower than I should have been, but from what I can tell, the urethane isn't sticking or holding on the outside line. So I'm going to move in a little bit, probably 6 and 2, and we'll see if I can get that urethane to shape, and if not, I'll probably put some surface on it and try outside again before I move on to something different. I'll tell you what, now that's a good sign. So 6 and 2 left, 10 at the arrows, 7 board roughly at the break point, and that urethane shaped almost like a reactive ball. I mean, it was powerful into the pocket. So I like that shape. I'm going to leave the ball as is. I'm going to throw a few more shots and see kind of if I can hit that a few more times.
So there it was. Felt pretty good off my hand, up the back, over 10, except my break point was actually 8 down there, not 7 or 6. And it seems like if you get to 8 with how the pattern plays in this house, it just wants to jump really hard. So we definitely need the break point to be 7-6 at 38, 39 feet. That's a really good sign. So urethane is definitely in play. You just got to get your feet in the right spot and get it to the right board down lane. You know, that one, I didn't catch it at the bottom quite like I usually do, so that's why you didn't see it react as much. But it still gave me that motion to the pocket I'm looking for, and it was enough motion to the pocket to actually give me a sloppy strike. So that's a good thing, because in bowling, you can't always be perfect. The more miss room you have, the better off you'll be. So, all right, we're gonna try and move left a little bit and see what kind of equipment we're gonna be looking at as the pattern breaks down. So we're gonna make a pretty big jump, probably a zone change, probably looking at 9 and 3 left, or maybe 12 and 4. So we're gonna try 9 and 3 first. And as far as the equipment, I'm gonna go back to a ball that's a little bit cleaner through the fronts, which is gonna be the Joker Wild. So 3 shots. I'm standing now 27, aiming 13, getting it to that 7 board area at about 38 feet. First shot was not really the best shot. It was actually inside and left of target down lane, so not a good one to base it off of. The last 2 shots actually were almost dead on top of each other. I would say the second shot of the last 2 was probably the better one, and it did get through the fronts clean, but almost too clean. So clean that when it got to the pocket, it wasn't rolling yet, and so it deflected and left me a 10 pin. So what that tells me is I definitely need something that gives me a stronger look as I start moving left. So again, we're going to go to the Incredible Hero because, again, it's a ball I'm used to. We're going to use that as a benchmark inside lane. So that one I got around it too much, and obviously bad result because I got around the ball, so we need to try that again. I still leaked it right, so we need to definitely try it again. First real good shot, and actually I was really happy with that. You know, I was a little around it, but not a ton. It read the lane pretty well, but it jumped really hard. So what I need to do now is use a stronger ball on that same line. So I'm going to switch to the Show Me the Money asymmetric solid. It's got a little bit rougher surface. It's a solid ball. It'll read the lanes earlier. We'll see what happens. There we go. That's why having a benchmark ball that you're used to throwing is going to be so important when it comes to getting lined up on sport shots. You know, I threw the Incredible Hero, saw the motion, too snappy. Yeah, I could take that ball and surface it and probably make it work, but I'm thinking into the future as well. You know, as I start moving even further, that might be the ball to go to. So going to a ball that's a solid ball, a little bit rougher surface with a strong layout, shaped really well, read the lane, turned at the right spot, and drove through the pins hard. So now we know where the Show Me the Money solid kind of comes into play as the pattern starts to break down. The next thing I'm going to try actually is moving further left and seeing what I can do from, you know, further inside. We're probably talking 15 to 17, 18 at the arrows, somewhere in that zone. We're going to have to be using balls that are going to get clean through the fronts and have enough energy to turn the corner. So I want to see, I'm going to start actually with the show me the money, and I'm going to see what it gives me from that point of view. I'm happy with that shot. I got it over my target at the arrows, got it out to 7-8 down lane, and it just puked on the back. So what that tells me is from that line on the inside, I need something a lot cleaner. So now we're going to actually go to the Incredible Hero, and we're going to see what that ball gives me from that line. I'm happy with that result. So this is why, going back to what I said before, I didn't touch the surface on the Incredible Hero. I wanted to see what the ball would do first from a deeper angle. And as you can see, that was a great shot. 16 at the arrows, 8 at the break point, and it read beautifully enough to pocket 9 pins. So that tells me as I start to move left, I'm definitely going to have to be in a pearl ball, but a pearl ball that's got a little bit of surface with a strong layout, and that's what the Incredible Hero accomplishes for me. So last thing we're going to try is something that's pinned down. You know, pinned down is something that really scoots to the front, stores a lot of energy, and normally speaking it gives you kind of a weaker shape into the pocket at the back end, and it's really a ball that you would use when the lanes are broken down. You can use it either when the back ends are really sharp, very reactive, or you can use it when the pattern's really broken down and you really need something to scoot through the front of the lane. So we're just going to throw it to see what it looks like from that same line. I've got 2 different pin downs to use, my Big Bro Jacked, and I've also got the No Graffiti. So we're going to see what those look like. You know, not bad. So that ball was the Big Bro Jacked. It's an asymmetric solid, pin down. It entered a roll very nicely for me. I mean, it was rolling hard and it drove really nice. So I like that shape, that look. We're going to try the No Graffiti, which it's a pin down. It's got the same layout as the Big Bro Jacked, except it's a pearl ball and it's not as rough on the surface. And the mass bias is actually a little bit stronger. So if anything, what we should see is a little bit kind of a sharper jump at the back, and it should get the same amount of length through the fronts. So as you can see, it actually got through the fronts a little cleaner. That's the pearl in the cover, and the difference in the surface on the ball. And when it got to the back, it just it didn't quite have it. So really what I noticed there is the Big Bro Jacked gives me a second option other than the Incredible Hero. You know, let's say I'm in the tournament, the Incredible Hero just doesn't give me the right look, I could always go to the Big Bro Jacked and see what it looks like. And then it looks like the No Graffiti is going to be a better option for when the lanes really kind of start to break down. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to move back to the right. We're going to try and get the No Graffiti over probably 12 with the arrows and see what kind of shape it gives me from the outside. That was much better. Hit my target at the arrows, hit my target at the break point. You know, the ball entered a roll pretty late. I got lucky on the strike. As far as that ball working from the outside part of the lane, probably a bad idea. You know, because if you were to miss right with that type of a shot, it wouldn't make it to the pocket. And if you were to miss left with that type of shot, it would probably go right through the face and leave something really nasty. So the No Graffiti Pearl is probably going to be something that's reserved for if the lanes are really dry, which, you know, it's not a lot of qualifying games this weekend, but if I'm bowling with a lot of people with a lot of rev rate, that ball might come out of the bag. All right, so as you know, I have a lot more bowling balls with me. We're going to move on to those next and just see what kind of a look they give me. You know, I've got a couple symmetric balls I want to try. I've got my Swagger Symmetric Solid. I've got my Fantasy Star Symmetric Pearl. I've also got my Dynamite Symmetric Pearl and the Fantasy Symmetric Solid. I just want to see what the symmetric balls kind of give me for a shape, because the only symmetric ball I've thrown so far on this is my Joker Wild, which, you know, it was kind of wishy-washy. So I've got a few different balls to try at different surfaces, and we're going to do the same thing basically, starting with the Swagger. So if you're wondering what happened there, the thumb on that Fantasy is a little larger than the other balls that I have, so it kind of slipped off my hand. We're going to try that again. Good release, hit my targets, and overall shape was, you know, pretty good. I'm thinking the Fantasy Star might be good from inside, so we're going to move to the same line that we had with the Incredible Hero and see if the Fantasy Star will come back. It tried. It really tried. That was a really good shot. 16 at the arrows, 7-8 at the break point. The ball read a little bit later than I wanted it to, so it didn't quite make the corner. You know, we could probably make it read if we slowed our speed down a bit or even got around it a little bit. Probably a combination of both, so we're going to try that next. We're not going to try it like that. That was horrible. That was the worst shot I've thrown yet besides the two gutters. Let's try that again. Two really bad shots from the board. Alright, this time I'm going to hit the line. There we go. Much better. Got around it. 16 at the arrows, 8 at the break point. The reason I was struggling in the last two shots is because when I slow myself down like that, I'm not really used to it quite yet. So I have a tendency to not sync things up quite well enough, and so my ball leaks to the right. That time I was synced up pretty well. You know, it did give me a stronger read. It read the lanes at the right spot because of the slower ball speed. So strong that it left me a pocket 4. So Fantasy Star, you know, honestly it's probably best used to play a little bit to the right of the Incredible Hero if I need it, you know, a little bit more direct, and it'll probably work out pretty good. Alright, let's move on to the Dynamite. You know, that one wasn't bad at all. I got around it actually. I don't know if you can see it on video, but I really kind of got around it and it held line and it picked up and read the lane at the right spot and just hit really hard. So, you know, and I moved back to the right. That was, I was standing 24 and I hit 12 with the arrows out to 8. So, not bad. The Dynamite, as far as the ball is concerned, it's 1,000 grit plus polish. And the core stats, it's a pretty strong symmetric pearl ball. So, that's what gave that smoother shape off the bat. Alright, so now that we've gone through that, what we're going to do is we're going to throw a game for score on the same lanes, or the same lane that I've been practicing on. We've got our equipment figured out as far as what we're going to use for the fresh shot, and then we kind of have our equipment figured out for the progression. So I'm going to move back right, and we're going to start from the outside, throw a few warm-up shots, and then we'll roll for a score. Alright, so we've thrown about 4 warm-up shots in the pocket for all but 2 of them. Tried my urethane and tried the Show Me the Money. As far as ball motion, Show Me the Money looks better, but I'm going to start with the urethane just because urethane is in play, and like I said, if it's in play, you want to make it work as long as you can so you can score. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'm actually doing this on my cell phone because I currently only have a single battery for my Rebel camera, and so it died on me right after I got done with that last game. And so anyway, kind of building off of yesterday's vlog, you know, getting to the next level really does require a lot of work. You know, today I spent a game kind of warming myself up, working on my release a little bit, and, you know, a few timing things here, just to get my body in motions. And then to get ready for a tournament, it takes a lot of work. You know, if you can know what the pattern is going into the tournament, that's really what will help you the most. But for the situations where you have no idea what the pattern is, doing something kind of similar to what I just did to kind of get yourself lined up is really a good idea. And actually, I'll probably do a video on that here coming up soon. You know, what would you do to get lined up on a pattern when you don't know what the pattern is? You know, now a lot of tournaments, they do release the pattern, but they don't release it until you're at the bowling center before your qualifying block. So the best you can do is look at the pattern, determine what the ratio of the pattern is, the volume of the pattern, determine the length of the oil and the type of oil in use, and then, you know, try to, as best you can anyway, determine where you should play the pattern, what kind of equipment you can use. But just keep in mind that at all times in those situations, it's best to always throw a ball instead of trying to figure out beforehand what ball to throw and where to throw it. You know, throw the ball, see what it does, see what the lane does with that ball, and then react to that. You know, as far as a method to use to get lined up on a pattern when you don't really know what it is or how it's going to play, I usually start as far right as possible, and I usually start with urethane. Because like I said before, if urethane is in play, use it. It's beneficial for you as a bowler. It's easier to score with. It doesn't react nearly as bad when you make a slight hand change as a reactive ball. So it really gives you more freedom for error, which is big when it comes to bowling tougher tournaments. And if you ever go to the pros someday, that's huge. So yeah, start with urethane, stand right, throw up the boards, see what the reaction looks like. If urethane's in play, try and get it lined up. You know, you got to find that friction spot first and then kind of adjust to it to get yourself lined up. But anyway, like I said, I'll do a video later about, you know, what that process looks like on a pattern that you don't really know. But anyway, for today, thanks for watching. I'll leave some links in the description below for the equipment, of course, I was using today. And don't forget to check in tomorrow for tomorrow's vlog. Tomorrow's vlog is just going to be a standard practice because the sport pattern will be erased by then. So yeah, thanks again, guys.